Big blinds getting in the gaming business is going to come with a hefty buy-in.
Church leaders with lots of questions over the proposed constitutional changes. I'm Jared Higgs. I'll have all the details straight ahead in the Bahamas tonight.
Discrimination development, the referendum date could change.
Find out how much Adderley got for killing his girlfriend. The Bahamas tonight, the National Report starts now.
Now in HD. Network presents The Bahamas Tonight. This portion of the news brought to you by BTC Every Day.
We're now getting a closer look at what web shops will pay once the gaming bills are passed and becomes law. Good evening, I'm Candino Knowles.
And good evening, Bahamas. I'm Altaviz Mannings. These licenses will only be issued to a fully Bahamian-owned company and come with a hefty price tag.
Today, the gaming minister not only talked about the importance of regulating the industry, but that the bill was reviewed and agreed on with web shop operators. Now, Clint Watson joins us live at 7 and has been working this story today.
Clint, these licenses are coming with some hefty fees.
You're very correct, Altaviz, but these operators say they can actually afford these fees, and that just tells you how good the industry is. Well, a day after the amended gaming bill was tabled in the House of Assembly, the gaming minister says Bahamians are owed an apology from the government, but he also noted they couldn't ignore the red signs from the central bank over the unregulated growing industry.
We do owe the public an appreciative apology. The truth is, you'll find that you have people participating in one web place, one web house, more than people who voted in the referendum on their database, because they have a sophisticated system today that they can tell you everybody who's betting. And that's why when people are talking, the truth is we have the information about who's betting. So you hear all the stuff and you say, well, you know, it's people's private business, who aren't getting it. But they did the know your customer policy a long time ago in the web houses. So they've advanced it. So the research will determine where we go next.
Wilscombe said web shop owners were given an opportunity to contribute to the bill, taking no issue with what one might consider to be hefty fees. Web shop operators will have to pay $250,000 for a new business license fee, and their earnings will be taxed 11%. They will also pay a gaming house operator's license of $5,000, along with a gaming house premises license of $2,000. Every branch will be taxed that fee of $2,000. Those who simply provide a gaming service as an outlet will be taxed $1,000 each year as an agent as well. Provision has also been made in the gaming bill for two additional categories of licenses, namely key employee licenses, which cost $250 each, and regular employee licenses $150 each. There is a concern from gaming participants on whether or not U.S. numbers houses will continue to be used for winnings. Wilscombe says he is unclear about the arrangement web shops have with U.S. lotteries, but it is something that is still being monitored. He noted that the bill tabled yesterday is not set in stone.
We are waiting now for the audited accounts, which will come after the RFP. The audited accounts will in fact determine the real numbers that we're going to put in terms of taxes. We're starting with a particular amount because we must, but we intend to revisit after we've looked at the numbers after a true audit is completed, and that will only take place after the request for proposal, which they have to make and swear an affidavit to.
The minister also clarified that provisions were already in place since 2004 for sports betting, but the country still had to play catch-up with technology. Moving forward, Wilscombe said the government will again consider a national lottery.
It happened more sooner than the other, simply because Bahamians betting, they want to participate in the lottery. Maybe that's a good thing, but for what? Well, in Florida, they use it for education. Well, we could perhaps introduce a lottery and use it for education, or use it for healthcare, or use it for sport. Use for culture. The truth is we have many areas that require a tremendous amount of financial support. We're going to be able to cause for greater growth in our sporting division if we can get more money into it. Well, education requires constant pumping into cash into the educational system, and healthcare. All over this country, we aren't the Bahamas of 10, 15 years ago.
Now, TV's continue late this evening. ZNS News spoke at length with CEO of Island Lux, Sebastian. No doubt he's excited about the process and is working with government officials to ensure the bill is sound. Now, of course, we'll have his response to the taxation structure as well as the regularization of the industry. He also had a compelling message to the Christian church. That exclusive interview, which will be shown in a series, will begin tomorrow night. Well, reporting live in the newsroom, TV's Condeno, I'm Clint Watson. Back to you guys.
Great reporting today, Clint. Thanks.
Well, still talking gaming, former gaming board chairman Dr. Andre Rollins says Bahamians should not be mistaken when it comes to the tone of discrimination that still remains in the revised gaming bill. Minister responsible for gaming, Obi Wilchcombe, said that there's a movement to remove discrimination against Bahamians, but Rollins is saying that the statement couldn't be further from the truth. Tonight, Charisma Robinson tells us that Rollins is calling on government to reconsider the proposed bill.
Former Gaming Board Chairman Dr. Andre Rollins says the much-anticipated gaming bill tabled in Parliament Wednesday does not answer any concerns to remove discrimination against Bahamians. Government has been pressured to do just that by allowing Bahamians the same right to gamble in casinos as tourists now enjoy. However, Rollins says Section 33 of the revised gaming bill still restricts Bahamians.
It makes no sense. So I ask Bahamians, don't see this as a way for me to make noise or oppose for the sake of opposing, because I don't support that. But what I do believe we have to do is look seriously at the issues that exist or arise as a result of this legislation being tabled in the House of Assembly and ask ourselves, is this the kind of Bahamas we want to perpetuate? One where Bahamians can do less in their own country than a foreigner can do.
But according to Minister with responsibility for gaming, Obi Wilchcombe, government will move to remove discrimination from the bill when the time is right, as the minister will now have the power to do so. He says the bill will allow the minister to specify who can gamble in casinos.
The new legislation will also empower the minister responsible for gaming to make regulations permitting participation in the types of gaming contemplated in casinos and gaming houses by any category or all categories of persons, which may regulate the circumstances under which and the conditions subject to which such participation shall be permitted.
But Rollins believes this power the minister spoke of will facilitate corruption. He claims that neither he or any member of the current gaming board was consulted on the legislation.
If you have a one-man board, so to speak, as I said, this bill makes provisions for. Everywhere you notice in reading it, it says that the minister has the final decision. That is a tremendous amount of power to put in the hands of one individual.
We have heard the views and dialogue with the various groups who either support or who are opposed to gaming. We value, respect, and understand their position. Nevertheless, Mr. Speaker, we are caught in a situation where the government must govern and the government must regulate.
Minister Wilchcombe says it's important for the Bahamian people to allow government to move the gaming industry to another level and to fix a problem that has existed for too long. Charisma Robinson, ZNS Network News.
Well, Tourism Minister with responsibility for gaming, the Honorable Obi Wilchcombe, says that Rollins has a narrow view of the bill and sums it up as a progressive one.
How would it create corruption? The truth is, the gaming bill, like all other bills, are created to advance gaming in the Bahamas. That's what we're seeking to do. We want to regulate, control the environment, not to cause for proliferation of the environment that exists today insofar as the web shops are concerned. And the F&M allowed for the licensing that opened the doors. And we interpret that as being the first step toward where we have to be today. That's what we're seeking to do. And we start there with a high level, not at a low level. Because why is it always that the black man is corrupt? What do we have against our race?
Now, Minister Wilchcombe also hit back at Rollins after Rollins claimed that the gaming board and backbenchers had no input in the bill.
The team that we had, which included the secretary of the gaming board, a technical individual, ministers and others don't sit at the table. We are advised afterwards, then we make the decision. And again, to ensure that the public appreciates, and also the public appreciates that when the bill says minister, minister can't pass anything by himself. Minister means government. It must return to the government. When people aren't educated or informed properly, then they won't have the relative information that's required sometimes to counter what might seem to be a sensible statement. When you really analyze it, it's nonsensical.
The November 6th date for the constitutional referendum could possibly change, as leader of government business in the House of Assembly, Dr. Bernard Nottage, indicated that the Constitutional Commission is still currently meeting with a wide cross-section of society on the contents of the 4 bills. Now,
Dr. Nottage told parliamentarians that the commission will share its views on the status of the new referendum date in a few days.
But the Constitutional Commission is also considering whether any adjustment to the current timetable for the constitutional referendum should be recommended, having regard to the need to ensure that the electorate is afforded ample time to develop a thorough understanding of the proposed changes in advance of any referendum. An announcement on this aspect of the matter is expected to be made on or before the 10th of September as well. In the meantime, sir, the Constitutional Commission is continuing to expand and diversify its public education activities throughout the country.
Now, the November 6th date for the constitutional referendum could possibly change, and currently the 4 constitutional bills remain in the committal stage in the House, and Dr. Nottage says the Commission could also be presenting views to amend these bills.
I am informed by the Constitutional Commission that it will be in a position to finalize its advice concerning possible amendments to these bills on or before next Wednesday, the 10th of September. In this regard, the Commission is in the process of completing the final round of consultations with the religious community and a broad section of the civil society in specific reference to the bills, after which the Commission will consult the government and the opposition before finalizing its advice as to what, if any, additional amendments should be advanced for consideration by this Honorable House while the bills are in committee.
During another educational forum on the gender equality constitutional referendum, members and leadership at Abundant Life Church raised another issue with the already controversial Bill number 4. Our Jared Higgs has that story.
Church members and leaders at Abundant Life questioned the impact Bill number 4 may have on church laws, despite the fact that retired Justice Ruby Nottage spent much of her contribution focusing on that bill. Other issues are now coming out of the bill that seeks to end discrimination on the basis of sex.
As a church, you may not believe that you should have women pastors.
Pastor of Abundant Life Church, Gil Maycock, pressed Justice Nottage for some clarification on what, if any, effect the change in law would have on certain ecclesiastical laws.
If I believe that Scripture is teaching that only males can hold that position, and a pastoral position, a senior pastoral position in the church, so then I'm turning that right over to the Constitution.
Nottage was reluctant to answer some questions from Abundant Life Church leadership. However, she did have this to say.
Anyone who feels that they have been discriminated against will then be empowered to take action on that law, which is the supreme law, and to find a resolution of their complaint before the court.
During the 6 weeks the Commission has been working on the constitutional amendment bills, concerns have come up ranging from bogus marriages to the possibility of same-sex marriage. Jared Higgs, ZNS Network News.
Keeping with the referendum, coordinator of the education campaign for the constitutional referendum is encouraging Bahamians to turn out and vote. Former parliamentarian Teresa Moxie Ingram says not to be bitter about the results of the 2002 referendum and instead look forward to this year's referendum and make sure it's a success.
If you participated in the referendum, the constitutional referendum of 2002, and you voted then, and you might have voted yes, to forget about that. And let's take up a new mantle and move forward positively. Still vote yes, but move forward positively. Forget the bitterness. Lay aside the bitterness. Forget about placing blame. Forget about my political agenda and your political agenda. We can take up that battle another day.
A rose by any other name would still be a rose, but a new development on Rose Island could mean sweet success for a local entrepreneur.
And these soccer players looking for sweet success as well. Here are their plans coming up. You're watching The Bahamas Tonight.
This segment of the news is brought to you by Shell Quality Fuels.